In the second part of this lecture, we're going to introduce physical security. For information systems, the role of physical security is to protect the physical assets that supports the storage and processing of information. Physical security involves two complementary requirements. First, physical security must prevent the damage to the physical infrastructure that sustains the information system. In broader terms, the infrastructure includes four components. The first one is information system hardware. It includes data processing and storage equipment, transmission and networking facilities, supporting documentation, and offline storage media. Physical facility is the second component. The physical facility is the buildings and other structures housing the system and network components. The third component is supporting facilities. These facilities support the operation of the information system and include electric power, communication services, and environmental controls. The final component is personnel. It refers to the humans who are involved in the control, maintenance, and the use of information systems. And the second requirement is that physical security must prevent misuse of physical infrastructure that leads to misuse or damage of the protected information. The misuse of physical infrastructure may be either accidental or malicious. For example, vandalism, sabotage, theft of equipment, and unauthorized entry. Physical security threats are different for every different site and different organization. Threats to physical security are often grouped into three categories: environmental threats, technical threats, and human-caused threats. Environmental threats are threats that arise from natural or human-caused disasters in the physical environment of a facility. Threats include nature disasters, inappropriate temperature or humidity control, fire and smoke, water damage, chemicals, and etc. Electrical power and electromagnetic radiation are the two main technical threats to physical security. Electric power is essential to the operation of IT equipment. All the electrical and electronic devices in the system require power, and most of them require uninterrupted utility power. Power utility problems can be broadly grouped into undervoltage, overvoltage, power outages, and noise. Human-caused threats are more difficult to deal with than environmental and technical threats. They are less predictable than other types of physical threats. Human-caused threats are specifically designed to overcome prevention measures and seek the most vulnerable point of attack. Such threats fall into three categories: unauthorized physical access, theft and vandalism, and industrial sabotage. An organization should designate one person as the physical security officer. The physical security officer is responsible for the overall implementation and management of physical security controls across the organization, including integration with applicable information security controls. As information security programs are developed, senior enterprise officials should work to ensure this coordinates with the complementary controls. Each local environment should also assign an employee with local physical security officer responsibilities to coordinate with and report to the enterprise physical security officer. The following list on this slide is the tasks of the physical security officer. An important strategy for security protection is the use of multiple overlapping protection approaches to address the people, technology, and operational aspects of information system security. By using multiple overlapping protection approaches, the failure or circumvention of any individual protection approach will not leave the system unprotected. This approach is used to provide multiple barriers between the adversary and the protected information or services, and often referred to as the defense in-depth approach. One example of this approach is multi-factor authentication. Another example is combined use of firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and access control systems. The defense in-depth approach is equally appropriate and effective for physical security. Examples of protection measures include fences, gates, locked doors, electronic access, armed guards, surveillance systems, and more. The figure here on this slide shows an example of security map. It shows physical security that provides access control and monitoring at each boundary in the defense in-depth approach. There are a range of techniques for preventing or in some cases deterring physical attacks. The following measures address environmental threats. An organization needs a natural disaster plan that is coordinated with the natural disaster plans of the local jurisdictions. At a minimum, the natural disaster plan should provide guidance for control of operation, evacuation, communication, control of publicity, physical security, and an after-action report. Dealing with inappropriate temperature, humidity threats is primarily a matter of having environmental control equipment of appropriate capacity and appropriate sensors to warn the temperature or humidity problems. Dealing with fire involves a combination of alarms, preventative measures, and fire mitigation techniques. To deal with the threat of smoke, the responsible manager should install smoke detection in every room that contains computer equipment, as well as on the raised floors and over suspended ceilings to prohibit smoking in computer rooms. For plumbing leaks, with the knowledge of exact layer of water supply lines, the organization should locate equipment sensibly. It should make sure that the location of each shut-off valve is clearly visible and at least clearly documented. It should also make sure that the responsible personnel knows the procedure to follow in case of an emergency. And there are other types of environmental threats and the countermeasures that the organization should take, and they're listed here on this slide. The following measures address technical threats. For brief power interruptions, an organization should use an uninterrupted power supply (UPS) for each piece of the critical equipment. An UPS is a battery backup device that maintains power to processors, monitors, and other equipment for a period of minutes. UPS units often function as surge protectors, power noise filters, and automatic shutdown devices when the battery runs out. For longer blackouts or blownouts, the organization should connect critical equipment to an emergency power source, such as a generator. For reliable service, management needs to address a range of issues, including product selection, generator placement, personnel training and testing, and maintenance schedules. An organization should use a combination of filters and shielding to avoid electromagnetic interference. The following measure addresses human-caused threats. For unauthorized physical access, an organization needs to implement both preventative measures and deterrence and response measures. Preventative measures include locks, card entry systems, and touch access systems. Deterrence and response measures include intrusion alarms, sensors, and surveillance systems. The measures to counter unauthorized physical access apply to the threat of theft as well. In addition, an organization should secure objects from being moved by bolting them down. For movable objects, an organization can incorporate a tracking device and provide an automated barrier that triggers an alarm when attacked objects cross the barrier. Vandalism may involve environmental threats such as fire, or technical threats such as interrupting or surging power, and the corresponding countermeasures apply. The National Institute of Standards and Technology special publication provides a detailed list of physical and environmental security controls, which are summed in the table on the slide. The National Institute of Standards and Technology provides a recommended set of minimum security controls called control baseline. The baseline is defined for low impact, moderate impact, and high impact systems. A control baseline is a collection of controls that address the protection needs of a group, an organization, or a community of interest. It is intended to assist an organization in selecting a set of controls for its systems and is matching with the risk. Specifically, the control baseline provides a generalized set of controls that presents an initial starting point for subsequent tailoring activities. These activities are applied to the baseline to produce a more targeted or customized security and privacy solutions for the entity that it is intended to serve. The table here on this slide shows the control baseline defined for the physical and environmental protection controls. The special publication also provides guidance on assessing the effectiveness of security controls and on generating security evidence related to security assessments. In essence, the combination of security controls and assessment guidance support an effective physical security policy. In addition, the implementation of these controls and assessment procedures can provide the organization with a degree of protection against various forms of liability.